So one of the things I like to do, or I do as part of my job, is test new kinds of tools that might help students and lawyers and others with their day-to-day work. So we have, my name is Debbie Ginsberg. I'm the Educational Technology Librarian at Chicago Kent. And one of the things that we discuss a lot is, are there tools out there that can help students deal with some of their day-to-day grammar and spelling and other kinds of word choice issues, and put those aside and help them concentrate instead on how to be effective legal writers, how to structure their papers, how to write legal arguments, and not let this other stuff get in the way. So we've been looking at a few tools, and I'm going to show you them. I'm going to show you those tools today. I'm going to show you Grammarly, which checks basic grammar and spelling and some word choice. I'm going to show you Word Rake. You may notice that law students and lawyers sometimes can be a bit wordy, and this can help with provide some more useful word choice options. And finally, this one that's on the screen right now, but I'm going to show you in a few minutes. It's called Perfect It, and it does those final checks at the end of when you write your paper, just to make sure everything's okay. For example, you may find yourself using the word court in a document 10 times, and 4 times you capitalized it, and 6 times you haven't capitalized it. And you may wait a minute, I want this all the same. And Perfect It looks for things like that. So let's start with Grammarly. There's a free version of Grammarly, and that's what I'm showing you today. The free version, by the way, also works in a browser. So I often use that version to check my emails, because we're Google Apps for Education, so I like having that extra check to make my emails look a little more professional. To launch Grammarly, I just click Enable Grammarly. By the way, when I enable Grammarly, for some reason Control-Z doesn't work anymore. And it goes through and it comes up with some checks. Now, there's some of these I'll be like, oh yeah, you're completely right, that's a great check, or that's a great idea, and others I'm like, not too sure. So here in the first line, they say, well, you don't want a comma after implementing. We did. This is an article draft written by 3 law librarians a long time ago. And in this case, yes, we did want that comma. And they said, well, what about a comma after the second author? Yeah, maybe we could have used a comma after the second author. It's really good at finding some mistakes that are hard for Word to find, or even editors to find. So here we said we guided 100 participants though tools when we went through tools. They could add to their toolboxes. They say right ways, but maybe we meant right away. So it's looking for errors like that. This is really helpful just to do a last minute check. There's though again. Though not everything always makes sense. So for example, here we referred to something as pre-recorded, and they said possibly confused words. No, we did mean pre-recorded, but thanks for asking. And then down here, we said that we were talking about an online course that we did, and we said, each week of the course had 4 course elements. And this, do you mean 4 course like a 4-course meal? No, we didn't. Now notice that there are some basic checks that I'm able to do, but some advanced issues and vocabulary enhancement, these are not available to me because they're part of Grammarly Premium, which I haven't subscribed to. The handout has more information about what this costs, but it's definitely not something I'm paying for right now. So I'm going to disable it now, and that goes away. And I can turn on Word Rake. And I said Word Rake looks for better word choices, better word options. And it works like when you review a document words, you can accept changes or you can reject changes. It does take a while, so I'm going to start the rake, and it's going to go through some of my document. This is slower than Grammarly, so I'm going to only have it go for a little bit. To do a few checks, and then I'll show you what I think of it so far. And you'll see that some of the ideas are really good, and some of the ideas make no sense whatsoever. So running through my checks, and now I'll hit stop, and we'll see what we got so far. So we're back up at the top, and it says that will be seen as is not as good as will be increasingly out of touch. Here it says is, actually that doesn't make sense. So again, already in the beginning we have something that doesn't quite make sense. But here we said, we need to, and Word Rake saying, commit to what you're saying. We must offer services and applications that meet the technological needs of our users. Again, we said librarians need to, librarians must. It gets rid of a few extra words that are all of things that we just don't need. But here's one that doesn't make any sense. So here we said, in this course is going to introduce technology applications to all kinds of law librarians, which is what we meant, court librarians and large law librarians and law school librarians, and here it said much law librarians, and that doesn't make any sense at all. They said, we also said that librarians were on the edge of retirement. They said nearly at retirement, and that's actually better. So some of these choices that WordBreak is giving us are really good, really do tighten up the writing, and some of it really don't make any sense whatsoever. So it's up to us to use our judgment to find out, or to determine which suggestions we like and which we don't. I'm going to reject all of suggestions and look at the next tool. And the next tool is Perfect It. Perfect It can check a lot of things. So I can take a look, and it's going to check things like, does my hyphenation make sense? Does spelling make sense? Does abbreviation make sense? All these little checks at the end. And it's not going to necessarily say if I'm right or wrong about something, but just make me think, is that really what I meant to do there? It gives me a last minute chance to say, yes, that is what I meant, or no, I meant it to be something else. So it's looking for consistency in errors like that. It also, under this American legal style, can run some basic Blue Book checks, which is helpful as well. To use Perfect It, I'm going to launch Perfect It and hit start. And it's going to run one test at a time. This gets pretty tedious, so I'm going to have it run a few tests just to get an idea. So here it says, do I mean to use the word built in? So maybe I have a built-in audio editor. Yeah, I meant to say it that way, but later I had something was built into the Moodle system. So I didn't mean for it to be hyphenated, but I am running a last-minute check to make sure it's okay. And it'll run other checks like that. So open sourced, here I didn't want hyphenated, elsewhere I did. To do a to-do list versus I want you to do this. And it runs other checks as well. So we'll run through a couple more. Checking, it's looking for things that I use a dash. Tells me if I passed a test, that's useful. And eventually get to the hyphens. That's where I make all my errors, where I don't quite have the hyphens done correctly. So it's nice to have the system say, I'm going to clean up all your hyphen mistakes for you. So here it's saying you maybe should have this capitalized, but you can see it just runs the different kinds of tests. Now, all three of these tools are really useful, but they also have some problems. For one thing, I don't think it's going to work as a great system for those who are having trouble writing, particularly those who use English as a second language. So if I saw those much law library suggestion, for example, in WordRake, and I didn't speak English, because there's many languages I've studied that I don't speak. I mean, is that a weird exception? Is that what they meant? I could see someone getting easily confused. So great if you can use it to sort of run a quick check, but it doesn't help get that writing and grammar out of the way, unfortunately. There doesn't seem to be really a tool that can do that. It's still part of your writing, unfortunately. But these can help do some last-minute cleanups for those who do have a pretty good grasp of grammar and spelling, or just looking for something to take their writing a step further. The other problem we have here, of course, we want students to use this, and some of this does cost money, particularly to use the advanced versions, and that's another cost for them that they may not be able to pay. There are discounts, but still, they've got to watch their budgets. Then there's the big issue. All of these work as Word add-ons. Grammarly, the free version of Grammarly does work as a browser add-on, but they do work as Word add-ons, but they work as Word add-ons only for Windows computers and not for Macs. And our students, of course, work mostly in the Mac world. So it's not going to work for that reason as well. That said, these can be useful tools to run last-minute checks just to make sure everything is good, everything is cleaned up. Find those errors that Word can't find that are easy to miss when just doing a visual scan. Find places where writers have been too wordy and offer new suggestions. And again, run those last-minute consistency errors that help the document look more professional. Perfect It, by the way, is most affordable at $99. Just a license. You don't have to pay it for a year, which is one of the things I liked about it. And I think it and a couple of these others will soon be available on Mac. We'll see. But you know, they've got their place, but they are not a panacea grammar and word choice and consistency perfection devices. They just can't do that. If you got any questions, let me know. Some of them will be answered in the handout, but send any other questions my way. I'm Debbie Ginsberg, Educational Technology Librarian, Chicago, Kent.